season, and one time in the playoffs did he have 3 or more threes. The Spurs went 13-4 whenever he does that. It's a winning recipe for the San Antonio Spurs. Let's talk more about Wemby, though. He's up against someone that he is familiar with, going up against 4-time Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert. Chene, I don't know, can Chene cannot hear me. Okay, so is the matchup between Wemby and Rudy the most intriguing matchup here in the second round? Jay, what do you think?
Not for me. And look, I think Wemby is obviously one of the most incredible talents there is in basketball. And I've seen the job that Gobert was able to do against Denver. And I think it's going to be a difficult matchup. But I feel like I know the personalities of both those two people, right? Like you watch Wemby on TV, you know who he is, you see it in person, you feel it with the way he plays. Like he is old school, hardcore. Rudy Gobert, obviously that background that they both have from France, but still defensive-minded, a guy that's going to take on that challenge. The best matchup to me in the playoffs is Joel Embiid versus Karl Anthony Towns. Stephen A., for all the reasons you alluded to before, it may not be the one that's the most exciting way it jumps off the page because nobody in the game of basketball is Victor Wembanyama. Nobody. But we get a chance to see the real personality of Karl Anthony Towns against a guy that there is history there. They have fought each other. They go at each other. And all this talk about getting through Joel Embiid, everybody's talking about Boston, for it to be Joel Embiid for Karl Anthony Towns, when people are questioning the toughness of Karl Anthony Towns, if there's any series you want to see him put a stake in the ground, it is versus Joel Embiid, who is hobbling, whatever the hell it is, it don't matter. New York fans aren't going to care. They want to see him go at Joel Embiid. I love that matchup.
Okay, so you like Embiid.
Okay,
go ahead. Yeah, Chene, your most favorable matchup.
Let me break this down. The most intriguing player right now in the NBA is an all-star, newly named Defensive Player of the Year, someone who is coming off of a 17-point, 14-rebound, 6-block game, giving the Spurs their first playoff series win since 2017, which is wild that it's been that long. That man is Victor Wembanyama. He has that it factor. I was home, Houston, Texas, with my dad. He was just walking through the kitchen. I was watching the games, obviously. And there are very few players that makes anyone watching just stop what they're doing in their tracks and admire. It's Victor. My dad had to sit down and was like, how is this fully possible? This man is just scratching the surface of greatness. And who is he going up against? His teammate by France. And Rudy Gobert, who is a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, who just forced Nikola Jokic to shoot the worst shooting percentage that we have seen him don in a Nuggets uniform, around 56 or so percent, a horrible shooting percentage. And so, relative to what Jokic is capable of doing, you look at these two guys. I know maybe centers are not sexy in this day and age, even though you are going with the center matchup for Philly and New York, but Victor Wembanyama is appointment viewing, and Rudy Gobert is having a renaissance in how he's approaching the postseason. Give me that matchup.
No, Janae, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to side with Jay here. And the reason I'm going to side with Jay here is because, for the most part, when you look at Jokic and the way he's owned Rudy Gobert in the past, although a few threes would be sprinkled in there, the brother was averaging 35 on 65% shooting this season alone and historically owned Rudy Gobert before this go-round. Props to Rudy Gobert for stepping up his game, making the necessary adjustments, and doing what he got to do. But when I'm thinking about Wembanyama, I'm like, yo, what you going to do if you Rudy Gobert against a brother that's pulling up from 3? What you going to do? I mean, we can't expect anything from Rudy Gobert in that regard. It's more plausible to think about Karl Anthony Towns against Joel Embiid. Because Joel Embiid is hobbled, he can't really get off the floor. Even though he's big at 7'1", 270 and can put that backside on you, and that could be problematic, obviously. He can't get off the floor the way he used to be able to whenever he's healthy. But he's still got game, and he's still got moves back to the basket or facing the basket. Karl Anthony Towns is a brother whose post game is limited, but he can sniper you out of there from long range. And him against Embiid, I believe, if he doesn't answer the call offensively, the New York Knicks could lose this series. Obviously, I got them winning the series because I have faith in my man that I did the commercial with for the NBA. I believe Karl Anthony Towns will show up, and he going to sit up there and put some buckets, and the Knicks going to win this series.
That series is the one to watch, but the matchup to me is the one in San Antonio. But I hear you.
All right, well, both of these series and both of these matchups will happen tonight. We're excited for it.
You know it.
We have Julius Randle to have 20-plus points, Jalen Brunson to record 7 or more assists, and then Victor Wembanyama to make 3 or more threes. Those odds are plus 600 for a parlay on DraftKings Sportsbook. Coming up, Joel Embiid.
That's some surprise announcement from the Wolves last night that Anthony Edwards has been upgraded to questionable for tonight's Game 1. Now, that injury was hellacious. I will say that this is one of the most incredible athletes I've ever seen. Even in a group of freak athletes, he's recovered from injuries. I don't know whether or not he's going to be able to go, but the implication here is that he may be able to come back very soon in this series. They called him week to week 1 week ago. So that's a remarkable situation there. Ant Edwards' health, Ayo Dosunmu's health will be a factor in Game 1. If Ant can play the majority of this series, it increases Minnesota's chances without a doubt.
I read Chris Hines' book, Ant, over the summer. Great book. Congratulations to Chris Hines. And in part of Anthony Edwards' origin story is he would get injured playing football and then miraculously be back. So this is sort of him as an athlete. The shorter recovery times, obviously the Wolves staff will be very careful with him. But I honestly was not surprised to hear this given how he has rolled through his athletic career.
We talked about how the Celtics were being very careful with Jason Tatum, and it's a completely different situation because Ant doesn't have the atrophy that Tatum does. But I do wonder, and I hope that someone is looking out for his long-term best interest.
Yeah.
That he is not putting himself in a situation where he could get himself seriously hurt.
Right.
But I do want to see him play.
Of course. Everyone wants to see him play.
We want to see him play.
And this is the first time. The word upset is correct on the screen. The Spurs are the favorites, and they deserve to be the favorites. But this will be their first real test. We talked about how the Spurs, I don't mean to disrespect Portland, but they weren't ready for this sort of thing. That's a play-in team. There's a really good team when fully healthy. This Timberwolves team with a lot of playoff experience. That would have been the first real test for Wembanyama and company. If Edwards isn't out there, maybe we don't actually get to see it. And then back to where we began the show this morning, Windman, and that is Joel Embiid. What are you expecting from him against the Knicks as they begin tonight?
I know why you're asking. He's not on the injury report with that knee. They mentioned his hip on the injury report. He's going to get hurt in games. He's going to fall on the ground. He's going to grimace. He's going to grab his legs. He's going to limp. He's going to look like he can't move. And then he might drop 45 on you. This is the Joel Embiid experience. I have no idea whether he will make it through 1 quarter or 7 games. Watch and enjoy.
Monica, you are the radio voice of the Knicks, so you know them as well as you can know a team. That team was constructed to play Boston. There's no question of that when they went out and they got Anunoby and Bridges, it was to try and beat those wings. This is a very different matchup. Styles make fights. How do these teams match up in your opinion?
I actually think it's a pretty even matchup when I look at it. And Greeny, the one area that I do think the Knicks have an advantage is their bench. And when you talk about that bench, that includes one Mitchell Robinson, who has the size, the mobility as a defender to make life a little bit more difficult on Joel Embiid. And he didn't get to finish that series 2 years ago. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but when I look at it, they at least have someone that they trust and that they have been mindful to preserve to be healthy for this time of year.
What do you think, Vince?
You said Styles make fights. They sicked Josh Hart on C.J. McCollum. C.J. McCollum is 35 years old or somewhere close to it. Tyrese Maxey and B.J. Edgecombe are super engines compared to that. You're just going to have to pick your matchup. You're going to have to decide who is going to be the most important one, almost like a cornerback.
Right.
And defense. What side of the field do you